Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Performance Cafe. And I'm very excited to be with you today, specifically because we are continuing on the topic of procrastination. And we've spent 2 weeks taking a look at what is procrastination, what does it look like, and what's it driven by. And in the most timely manner, I came across a book that was going to give some excellent tips and advice around how do we deal with procrastination. And the book is called Feel Good Productivity by Dr. Ali Abdal. Now, it is, firstly, I bought the book. I got the book as an Audible and I listened to it, and it was just so jam-packed that I went and I bought the hard copy because it's easier to make notes in and to go through techniques. Because what I really like is he offers a couple of ideas in each chapter, normally around 3, of how to solve each problem, or a tool that you can try and use to solve the problem of the problem of productivity. How funny! The problem of procrastination. And so today I'm going to be talking to you about a very interesting section of his book. I won't be going through all of it. Around energizing. And so often when we think of procrastination, we think of someone who's lazy because they're not doing what is expected or what they should. And that in and of itself is already quite difficult because it's closing the doors to a variety of factors that contribute to procrastination. That's got nothing to do with being lazy or not wanting to listen to other people. I think we've gotten into a bit of a nasty habit where we will, when we see someone not doing what we expect them to do, label it as procrastination instead of something else. Now, the first part of his book is called Energize. And one of the things that he says that I feel as a coach, as a life coach, as a business coach, is so important is he speaks of what gives us energy. Now, as a strengths coach, of course, we tell people try and work within your top 10 strengths because those energize you, you work faster in them, there is less stress in that space. So this really appealed to me. And I love that on the back of his book's cover, there stands, the secret to productivity isn't discipline, it's joy. And I think that, as he also mentions in the book, we've all fallen into this trap of you play as a child, but as you grow up, things get more serious, and it's all about these serious measures of success like money and power and, whatever you own, this materialism, where actually maybe there is place for this joy to continue in life. And so what he does is he sets out 3 areas that he thinks we can use in order to support ourselves and steer away from procrastination. So the first area that he mentions is specifically play. And what I really love about it is that when he says play, one thinks of a lightness, one thinks of a carefreeness. And it's quite interesting that what he draws on in this perspective is the fact that the moment that we are not in a playful mode, the moment we start stressing, we actually become somewhat paralyzed. We become less likely to make good decisions and to do things well. And so I really love that he looked at that sort of like paralysis from the flight-fright response. And he's saying, what if we were to play? And one of the things as part of, well, definitely the Audible book, I'm not sure about the book, the physical book itself, is you can download a little screensaver for your phone that says, what would this look like if it was fun? And the point there is that if we could enjoy things more, would we be able to procrastinate less and get more stuff done? And we know that the more you get done, the less you're likely to procrastinate, because the more you get done, the more you get positive hormones like dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin, and which one did I mention? The runner's high. I've now forgotten it. I'm just going to come back to me. Watch. So in order for us to get these happy hormones, we've got to be in a good place to start. And in order to think logically and reason well, we need to feel safe. So the first thing he says is, what do you play at? what do you do for a hobby? What do you do firstly to energize yourself outside of work? And then the next step is, what do you do to energize yourself inside of work? And one of the interesting concepts, and I can't even remember which chapter it comes from, he says, if you think about it, a lot of people say, I can't play at work. I can't do things in a creative and innovative way because there are certain things I just have to do. Yes, you have to do the thing, but how you do the thing might be up to you. His example is that in studying some form of chemistry, because he is a medical doctor, or he studied as a medical doctor, he would put on some of the music from the Lord of the Rings, and that would energize him. That would be fun to him, and then he'd certainly recite these chemistry tables or something based on that. So often when we think of play, we do think of that childish or childlikeness, but we can also bring it into work to say, how can I make this more fun? So, for example, I am looking at data on my company sales by using different colors to notate different areas. Well, I'm a bit of a creative person, so I quite like using all those different colored highlighters and pens. That actually makes what normally would be very dull to me quite exciting, because I see the colors. And the colors help me make sense of the data. So not only do they make it fun, but they make it easier to understand and interpret as well. Then next, he speaks about power. And when we take a look at power as something that energizes, he's not speaking so much about us having power over other people, but how much power we have over what's going on in our role or in our environment. So actually, all he's speaking about is autonomy. And the more autonomy we have, the more ability we have to decide how we're going to do about what needs to be done. And that is another place where we can sneak in a bit of playfulness, where we can see what we enjoy more. Will we actually be more productive sitting under a tree and working, because that form of nature energizes and revitalizes us, versus sitting in a cubicle in an office that, I've got this very small space, everything's encroaching on me, and that, that makes me feel hemmed in. That doesn't make me feel like I can think openly, creatively, innovatively. And so that power or that energy comes from the autonomy I have. And I think what I really appreciated about that was the fact that as a coach, I know that the way we get autonomy is by being trusted. And so it makes perfect sense to me that when he says, power over yourself and power over what you're allowed to do, it makes sense, because I also will feel energized in most cases because I know I'm being trusted. That is one of the biggest ways that we can help energize people, is through that autonomy. The third one is people, and this makes so much sense. And he says that very often, and I think this is something that I, as a coach, specifically saw with COVID and then the resulting work from home, is that for many people, not being around people is actually incredibly difficult. And it's not that we have to sit and chit-chat with people the whole day. I know that as an extrovert, I can be very distracting in the office environment, so I have to cut back on how much I speak. But it's that concept of, we are social beings, and as such, we've been psychologically rigged from decades and seasons gone by, that when we work together, we are safer. The pack is together, we are safer. We can do more through collaboration, through interdependence on each other. But you see, that's actually been proven so many times over. I have quite a couple of family members who are not neurotypical. And so they normally have ADD or ADHD. And one of the things that actually helps them the most is to what is called body double. Body double means that there is someone else sitting doing exactly what you're doing in the same space, even in a virtual environment. So, for example, and I forget the name of the app, but there are a couple of them that you can use, where you actually sign up to this app and you say, right, I've got to do half an hour of preparation for my YouTube channel. And what happens is in the app, someone will connect with you and say, right, at the same time, I need to do half an hour of spreadsheet manipulation. And you both connect via the app and you sit and work together with the app open and actually being able to hear each other. These are people that have nothing in common with each other. They don't need each other to get the work done. They might not even understand what the other person needs to do. But at the same time, for the same amount of time, they have the need to know that while they're sitting working quietly on someone is working with them. And actually, even for people on neurotypical, this works kind of well. If you think about since COVID, the preponderance of co-work spaces, and it's not just about people who want their own office there, it's about people who sit in a space of collaboration. It's a little bit like working in a library, right? You walk in and there's this vibe that people are reading and they're working. They might not be speaking particularly loud because a lot of these places do ask, it's a space of focus. So don't have like loud communications going, don't have a radio or TV on. But people are sitting and the energy is conducive to us all doing work at the same time. And so from this part of the book, what we get is that a good way for us to move away from procrastination is to ask, how can I make the task more fun? And if not purely fun, how can I make it more creative, more innovative, right? Do I have a proposal to write? Instead of writing a dry proposal, if I'm a bit of a storyteller, why don't I add a little bit of that flair? If I do illustrations, how does that contribute to me illustrating the proposal or putting in, illustrating in key concepts as an icon, for example? And that will add not just a bit of fun for you, a bit of play for you, but it'll also add a little bit of yourself and make it more authentic to you. The second question is autonomy. How do I do this and I become more autonomous? How can I get to express more of myself and trust myself more in this process, or have others trust me more? And then third, but definitely not the last, is people. How do I incorporate people into this process? And it doesn't have to be an everyday thing. It's not that I have to go to the same office every day with people. But, am I the kind of person who actually would like to work from a coffee shop for an hour or so every day instead of working from home the whole day, just to energize me? And so I think the concept there is, if we energize ourselves to do the work, then we can start delaying procrastination. And whether we're energizing specifically in that environment, or whether we've got a hobby that energizes us after hours, it's important to understand the impact of energy levels on how we procrastinate or how we stop procrastinating. Well, I hope that Dr. Ali's book has been useful in upping your energy, helping you understand how you can better use the environment around you to add more play, add more power, or add more people. I hope that Dr. Ali's book and the section around energizing has been useful to you. If you did enjoy that, please follow us next, or come and look at us again next week, when we will be taking a look at how do we unblock. So that would be the next part of his prescription for dealing with procrastination. If you've enjoyed this, please remember that we have this content available as blogs as well on our website at performforward.com. And then you can catch us on most of the social media channels as well, where we will be spreading the word on increasing productivity and decreasing procrastination. But then, until next time, I look forward to seeing you at the Performance Cafe.